Donald Trump, no matter what he says, has never been a fan of the First Amendment. He is a petulant, insecure child, terrified and always angry when he is criticized. He does not respond well to protest. He wanted to shoot protesters in the legs, in fact, in 2020. This is a guy, no matter what he says about free speech or the right to protest, who wants anything but that for his presidency. And we saw the most disturbing example of Donald Trump's assault on the First Amendment just recently, when he decided that if you are going to protest Elon Musk, he wants you executed. You're hearing me right. That is what Donald Trump wants. It is terrifying, the steps he is willing to take to defend his billionaire buddies and strike fear into anyone who will oppose them. And we're going to break it all down. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video. And if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, before we can get into why Donald Trump made this wild statement, I think we have to start with the context. A sad little Elon Musk right here.
Yeah, it turns out when you take away people's, what the money they're receiving fraudulently, they get very upset, and they basically want to kill me because I'm stopping their fraud, and they want to hurt Tesla because we're stopping this terrible waste and corruption in the government. And well, I guess they're bad people. Bad people will do bad things.
What does Elon not understand? Why is he whining? How is he confused? You have caused irreparable damage to our government. You have caused people to lose their lives, and you will continue to every single day. You attack healthcare, Social Security, humanitarian aid, the FAA, for God's sakes. Every plane that has complications, crash, any problems rests solely at the feet of Elon Musk. He is the reason for all of the dysfunction, and it's purposeful. Elon Musk and Donald Trump want to break the government so they can point at it and say, look, it's broken. Let's break it some more. Because then they can write an even bigger tax cut for their rich buddies. Because $400 billion is not enough for Elon. Neither is 500, 600, hell, $1 trillion won't be enough. He is a greedy, sick person who only wants to take more from you, and he's upset if you don't buy his car. That's now a crime? It's ridiculous, especially with the freak out that MAGA had not too long ago over a trans woman having a beer. And Jessica Tarlov pointed out that hypocrisy that I want to take a look at before we get to Donald Trump's freak out.
I, again, reiterate, I draw the line at arson. No one should be setting cars on fire. But I would argue, no, this is an important point. It's a free market point, but also we talked about Dylan Mulvaney, a single trans influencer who was on a single can of beer for months. And that can of beer set the conservative movement on proverbial fire, rooting against at least half an American company, the Anheuser-Busch side of things. Kid Rock out there doing target practice with Budweiser cans, people vowing to decimate that brand. And Dylan Mulvaney has much less of an impact on people's lives than Elon Musk does.
I don't know if MAGA remembered this thing called free market capitalism, where I can decide that I don't like Elon Musk and not buy a Tesla. I don't have to be forced into spending, what, $40,000 for a car that's going to explode because he's the co-president and tries to control our government. No. That's not how this thing works. And of course, people shouldn't be lighting Teslas on fire because, as I've continued to say, they will do it themselves. But if we want to protest outside of your factories, outside of your dealerships, wherever we want, that's all right. I know you're not from here, Elon, and you don't care about the Constitution. You would happily buy it to wipe your butt with it because you have that level of disregard and disrespect for our country. But that's not how things are done around here. And also, Donald Trump clearly doesn't care about that because a post he made and a statement made by Carolyn Levitt. But first, let's start with the post. Trump wrote, I look forward to watching the sick terrorist thugs get 20-year jail sentences for what they are doing to Elon Musk and Tesla. Perhaps they could serve them in the prisons of El Salvador, which have become so recently famous for such lovely conditions. If you thought that post was crazy, it only gets crazier with what Carolyn Levitt suggested that Donald Trump actually wants to do with people who are, protesting Tesla? American citizens he wants to deport to El Salvador, but he had an even crazier idea for what should happen just with complete intimidation and outlandishness right here.
If there's someone in one of these cars, they blow up. That can happen. that becomes murder or worse, terrorism plus. And I know that on January 20th, the president signed into law, through an executive order, restoring the death penalty. Do you think this sort of thing, and I hate to think it, people leave their children and pets in cars. I mean, you don't know. This is deadly, dangerous stuff these liberal protesters are playing with.
Yes, it is, Harris. And what I can tell you is that President Trump condemns this violence, and he is determined to restore law and order in our country, and he will ensure that the harshest penalties are pursued for those who are engaging in this vicious violence that we have seen targeted at this American company, Tesla dealerships.
What? So we're giving people the death penalty for protesting Elon Musk? If you throw a bag of dog poop at a Tesla, at one of those stupid-looking Cybertrucks, you get the death penalty? They're going to go, the full force of the law is what Carolyn Levitt has said that Donald Trump wants to do? What if you smear poop on the walls of the Capitol? Then you get off free? But not on a swastika? This is outrageous. This is absurd. This is the intimidation that Donald Trump so desperately wants to just be really the face of his administration. That's what it's about. Donald Trump knows his power only goes so far. He knows he gets weaker and weaker by the day as his brain actually gets weaker and weaker by the day. And so it's about intimidation and pre-capitulation, and that is what this is about. It's what we also see out of the weaponization of the DOJ that Jamie Raskin talked about right here.
And in federal court today, the Trump administration is set to face off with that judge who blocked the president's deportation flights over concerns that migrants weren't receiving due process. And then, as you know, President Trump called for that judge's impeachment. So let's discuss that and more with Congressman Jamie Raskin. He is the top Democrat on the House Judiciary Committee. How do you expect this fight to play out?
Well, Judge Boasberg is an excellent judge. He's a conservative judge. And he rules by the book, and he has rightfully asked the administration to account for what exactly happened after he gave an order that the airplanes were not to land in El Salvador. So my sense is that he is going to see this through, and the Department of Justice is going to have to account for what happened.
Mm-hmm. But so far, they haven't given the full accounting, according to the judge. He has said that it's been very, insufficient.
He's asked very straightforward questions about when the flights took off, when exactly they landed, and how that related to his judicial order to have the planes not leave America and to have them stay. Look, all of this is about this outlandish invocation of the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, which says that the president can order that foreign nationals of enemy governments be picked up if we're at war with another country. We're not at war with Venezuela. It would have to be Congress that declares war, not the President of the United States. There's also an exception if there's a military invasion of the United States. There's no military invasion of the United States. Therefore, this seems like a very cut and dry legal issue, and Judge Boasberg rightfully is demanding that the administration comply with the law. But it's really just one of dozens of cases. More than 140 cases have been filed across the country, and there are temporary restraining orders or preliminary injunctions in more than 45 of them at this point, where the courts are ordering the administration to comply with the Constitution and with the rule of law. That's why Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and Elon Musk are calling for impeachment of these judges who are doing their jobs. But Judge Boasberg was first appointed by President Bush to the Superior Court. He got promoted to the district court by Obama. But these are judges across the political spectrum. You can't identify them as Obama judges or Biden judges. There are Reagan judges, there are Bush judges, there are even Trump judges who are stopping them from engaging in this lawlessness.
And as you heard from Chief Justice John Roberts in that extraordinary statement, you can't just impeach a judge because you don't like the decision that judge made. There is an appellate process for that. I want to move on to something else. Because,
can I say one word about the impeachment? We've had 15 impeachments of judges in American history for things like being constantly drunk on the bench, corruption, bribery. Nobody has ever been impeached because of the substance of a judicial opinion that they rendered. The proper approach to that, as Chief Justice Roberts pointed out, is to appeal the decision. And by the way, the logic of all of these opinions seems airtight to me. It's the administration which is completely run off the rails and is acting in a totally irresponsible and lawless manner, as if they don't care about the Constitution. When you say to them something you're doing is unconstitutional, and they say, we campaigned on that. Well, whether or not that's true, it's irrelevant. You can campaign on doing something unconstitutional. You could campaign saying, I'm going to make everybody in my family a king or a queen or a duke, but the Constitution forbids titles of nobility.
So then on that note, I'm just wondering, I mean, how close do you think, in your view, is the country to a constitutional crisis? We've been hearing that thrown around a lot.
Yeah. The language of constitutional crisis is a bit vague and
what does it
ambiguous
mean,
and kind of, worked over to my mind. I would say there's an absolute attack on the Constitution taking place by an administration which views the Constitution as just inconvenient furniture that's got to be kicked out of the way. And the people, the courts, many people in Congress are defending the constitutional order against a lawless president who thinks that the Constitution doesn't apply to him. I mean, he talks about the phony emoluments clause. Well, that's in the Constitution. One of his first executive orders was to try to deny birthright citizenship to people. The first sentence of the 14th Amendment says, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. Right. And you had 5 different judges striking down what he did.
Right, and it seems to be the legal strategy to get it up to the Supreme Court. We'll see what happens. But you said that, Congress is stepping up and trying to provide the checks and balances. But you've been seeing these town halls all across the country, Democratic town halls, where a lot of Americans are feeling that way. Democrats or Republicans as well are upset. We've seen it on both sides of the aisle. You just had a town hall as well.
Yes.
What are you hearing?
Well, I've been doing town halls and rallies since this began. I say a rally a day keeps the fascists away. And I go everywhere. I've been obviously in my district in Montgomery County, Maryland. Last night I was up in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, because the Republican member there would not conduct an in-person town hall. And so I went and did one, and a lot of Democrats are doing that because people are mad.
This is terrifying. Like, it could not get scarier than this. I do not know how it could get worse, but I guess tomorrow we'll talk about how it's getting even worse. Everything Donald Trump accused President Biden and really all Democrats of doing during his campaign is what he's doing now. Lawfare, the weaponization of the DOJ, intimidation and persecution of political enemies. That is the whole Trump administration. And it is our job to call it out. We're certainly going to on this show. We will not be intimidated. I will continue to make fun of the swastikars. Come and lock me up if you want, Trump. I don't care. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. You can also say you hate Elon Musk. And until next time, I'll see you soon.